Ladies and gentlemen, with the recent Virtuosa and Viviana limited banner has come to an end, and bunch of new operators have been released in CN. It's time to see all the upcoming 6-star and their abilities, and see whether or not they are for you. So sit tight, and hold your oar under even tighter. And you remember, I will only talk about the gacha operators. For the free one we will talk about them on another day. Additionally, we will start with a 6-star operator that should come to global based on the CN schedule. And needless to say, global will be slightly different. Okay, sometime after global current CC event, big chance the next event is a continuation of Break the Ice, called the Rides to Lake I don't even dare to pronounce, where it feature a well-known character to be playable, Degenbrecher, also known as Black Knight. She is our third 6-star sword master after Irene. And much like the rest of her fellow 6-star, she's a good DPS and nuker unit, with an addition to the debuff department, thanks to her talent one that allows her to inflict an effect known as Tremble, that will prevent enemies from doing normal attacks. It's a very powerful effect, and currently she is the only one who can inflict this. And to make her attack even powerful, her second talent allows her to ignore some defense, but only when hitting trembled targets. For skills, most people will use her for her S3. Technically, if you're looking for a longer and more frequent tremble effect, skill 2 should be a better choice. But since it is an offensive recovery, the activation time is irregular, which is why people tend to go for S3. Not only it offers bigger damage and cover a wide range, but it also has a freaking auto recovery, which pretty much erases a problem that Swordmaster tends to have with their offensive recovery skills. I highly recommend her if you just started playing, or lacking a DPS or burst unit, to help you with most of the content in the game. After Degenbrecher, we should have a 6-star Aussie called Ray in this mini event. Ray is our first 6-star hunter sniper. Knowing how the first hunter performed, it's good to know that the dev at least gives a 6-star justice, packing her with some extra punch and other useful utilities. For example, the first talent lets Ray summon her sand beast to any tile within range. Not only will the little bro act as a range extension, but Ray will start prioritizing enemies inside the sand beast range, and they also start receiving more damage. Ray's second talent also works in tandem with talent 1, by increasing her attack up to 3 stacks if she keeps attacking the same target. For skills, you will most likely only pick her S3, but skill 1 has a push mechanism that might be useful on rare occasions. Skill 2 also offers a nice permanent attack boost, with little bro redeploy time is also reduced. This skill also eases up the main drawback of her archetype, by making Ray can recover a bullet that she fires into the sand beast range. Last but not least, her skill 3. It almost instantly reloads all her ammo, offers big damage, and has the bind effect to keep the enemy from moving. While the description says the bind is only 2 seconds, but the fact Ray will inflict the bind on her every attack means if it's only a single enemy, she can bind them until the skill ends. Overall, Ray is another great unit to ever bless this landship. But if you're only here for damage, the next sniper we will talk about should be a better choice. However, as you have seen, Ray's usefulness did not only come from her damage, but also that long-lasting bind. Mostly useful in advanced stages like the next CC event. But if that's not your thing, maybe you should really skip her. Not for me though, I need Christina on the team. Next up, CN released a new Yansui event during the previous Lunar New Year. And you know what that means, another Sui sibling and a limited banner. And it's pretty easy to estimate when this event will come to global, based on what we have seen so far. This event should be Arknights half anniversary event, in late July. As I said, this event features a new limited banner with 2 new 6-star. The first one is a Sui sister called Shu, and she's the limited. Shu is our third guardian defender. A defender that not only works to tank damage, but also provides healing and support. Shu's usefulness as a healer and support are already apparent in her first talent. When she heals someone, she will give the target's tile and its 4 adjacent areas a positive effect. That gives anyone who stands on it a regen healing, plus sanctuary. If that's not enough, Shu's second talent will provide buffs based on how many operators with the same or different class on the field. And off-field buff if you have 4 Sui operators in the team. For skills, Shu's skills are almost M9 worthy. Skill 1 is your basic Guardian Skill 1, which is reliable and good at what it does. While Skill 2 makes her focus more on burst healing and strengthening her Talent 1. Synergies well with enmity units. But Skill 3 is her famous skill and what makes her unique. Almost like S2, she will also heal units within range, and her range becomes something like Zarya S3. She gets an attack buff to increase her healing effectiveness, and also gives an attack and attack speed buff to anyone on the green tile. But the most interesting part of this skill is that when the enemy enters the green tile and then walks 2 tiles away, they will be freaking teleported back. No doubt it is very useful for stalling and opens up other possibilities. Being limited already makes Shu an interesting operator to gacha. But thanks to her strong healing and support, it makes Shu even more worthy to get. If you don't have Zarya, I really recommend you get her. But even if you do, I think you can consider Shu as an upgrade from Zarya. Their S3 provides very different things. But I find Shu's healing and support much more potent, especially at Elite 1. Moving on to the 6th star beside her. It's our favorite manhwa protagonist Zuo Lei. Zuo is our second 6th star Musa guard. One thing you might have noticed when using him is that he got a crazy SP recovery. All thanks to his talent 1 that not only increases his attack speed the lower his HP gets, but also boosts the amount of SP he recovers. And he got a chance to gain 1 SP on his every attack with talent 2. Resulting in Zuo can frequently nuke the hell out of enemies with his skills. For his skills, you either go for skill 2 or 3. But his skill 1 is also solid for AFK, especially after talent 2 is unlocked. Skill 2 is mainly used if you need Zuo to block 2 enemies and attack them at the same time. He can deal a pretty great damage with this. And while he loses HP seems like a bad thing, but for Musa, especially him, it is actually a good thing. But just in case the enemy has insane firepower, he will also receive a temporary barrier. Lastly, his skill 3 launches several strikes to 3 enemies up ahead, each dealing critical damage. With stun and bigger damage multiplier on the last hit. The damage is great, able to deal significant damage to the enemy with an A+ defense. Not to mention thanks to his talent, he can spam the hell out of this skill. And for the final touch, he will get another temporary barrier when using this. Zuo is an amazing duelist, and can also work as a lane holder under the right circumstances. I dare even say he's the best Musa guard we have right now. Although him being an enmity unit that can't be normally healed, sure is one big downside. Either way, if you're looking for a DPS and survival unit, might want to consider getting this guy. After Shu and Zuo, CN has yet another limited banner. But this one is very special, because it is a collaboration event with Rainbow Six Siege. You know, the supposedly tactical FPS game, made by a small indie company called Ubisoft. This is actually Arknights' second collab with Siege, bringing in another 4 Rainbow operators to Arknights. But we'll only focus on the 6th star for now. The 6th star is Ella, and she is our second 6th star trap master after Dorothy. Although she is a trap master, but honestly she feels more like a sniper, due to how different her playstyle is. Much like her version in Siege, her talent 1 let her to carry some Grismod mines. Unlike other trappers, her mine can be triggered simply when enemies are entering its radius. Combine this with her module that lets her trap to be deployed on any tile. Makes her trap very flexible to be used, albeit you can't get a new trap easily like other trappers. And her mine effect depends on what skill she uses. Ela also has some chance to deal critical damage on her every attack, thanks to talent 2. And it is guaranteed if she attacks enemies affected by her mine. Most interesting part about Trap Master is their skills, so let's see hers. Ela's first skill makes her mine slow down enemies and reduce their accuracy. And by the way, Ela is the first unit that can apply this accuracy debuff, though it's still RNG, so it doesn't really stand out compared to other skills. For skill 2, her mine will now stun enemies, deploying her shield that increases her defense, and she will use her shotgun to attack, dealing AoE damage with some defense ignore, but her range is now shorter. And from here on, she can only obtain a new mine whenever her skill ends. Overall skill 2 is pretty great to clear crowds. And while it is an offensive recovery, but the SP cost and her quick attack can make this skill be used quite often. Last but not least, her skill 3. This time her mine will slow the enemies, and also give them a fragile effect. Ela will now use her AR and increase her attack, and reduce her interval. This combined with her talent 2, can make Ela deal amazing DPS, even to someone with high defense. Flexible debuff, very useful at Elite 1, strong abilities at E2, and being super limited. Makes Ela one, if not the most recommended operator to get on this list. Her firepower might lose to some 6-star in this video, but since there's no telling when she will get a run, you might want to save for her. Luckily Hypergriff is generous when it comes to collab banners, as you are guaranteed to get her in 120 pulls. Not to mention there should be a free 20x pull tickets once the event arrived. Okay, after Ela, the next new 6-star should be the sweep leader Ascalon. Released alongside a new intermezzo. Ascalon is our new 6-star ambusher specialist after Mizuki. And I dare say, she's the best ambusher we have right now. Ambusher specialties are stalling enemies, and crowd control, and it's exactly what she did in her talent 1. Able to apply 3 stacks of movement reduction, and arts DOT. And she got a permanent attack speed buff, plus more if she's near a ranged tile in talent 2. Well, it's not much. But yes, it's not much. As for skills. Skill 1 is a nice AFK skill, providing consistent DPS. Attacking twice should also mean she will full stack her talent 1 faster. Meanwhile, I think skill 2 is her best skill. Not only it gives a pretty great damage boost, and additional way to spread talent 1, but she will now significantly reduce enemy movement speed within range, making her role as a staller even better. Lastly we got her skill 3. It can cover a wide range, and the shorter interval should means better DPS, and applying full stack talent 1 even quicker. This skill also makes Ascalon's aggro bigger. But to compensate for this, enemies in range will have their accuracy reduced. Plus a bit of healing if she dodge the attack. All things considered, Ascalon is a great ambusher for all your stalling and crowd control needs. So if you need someone like Mostoma, but more grounded, she's probably the right gal for you. But the thing about Ascalon banner, is that she's right in the middle of R6 banner, and 5th anniversary limited. Which is way more recommended to pull. So you might want to skip her if you low on resources. Now here comes the arguably best upcoming banner. After Ascalon, we should have episode 14 update. And is released alongside a limited banner, featuring W Alter, and logos as a 6-star. First let's talk about Walter, the limited in this banner, and our newest flinger sniper. If you need a sniper who can do tons of AoE damage, she's your gal. Have a talent 1 that allows her to mark enemies, and a chance to deal AoE damage and stun when her aftershock hits them. While talent 2 allows her to summon some sort of sentry turret, that can deal arts damage to enemies within Walter's range. And also gives her a permanent camouflage if she stands beside them. For skills, most definitely you will focus on skill 3, thanks to what it does. But S2 is also worth considering if you need her to use her skill more frequently. It is also a nice skill to handle low defense mobs, or even higher one if her talent 1 procs often. With an overload effect that doesn't have any real downside. Then the main star of her skill, her S3. It only gives her a little ammunition, and significantly increases her interval. But those are only a small downsides. Because this skill makes her summon new pieces of her talent too. And Walter herself will deal an insane amount of AoE damage, in a really large radius. Furthermore, she can target flying enemies with this. Something that none other flinger can do. Overall, Walter is so strong. It almost feels like cheating when using her. Definitely a recommended operator to catch her if you want to make the game easier. And make sure you don't miss her if you really want her. Because limited operators will be hard to get if you miss their debut. Next we'll see the standard 6-star beside her, and he's none other than elite operator Logos. Although he's the standard one, but don't let that fool you. He's considered the best caster in the game. And is very useful even without Elite 2 promotion. And while he is a single target caster at his core, but his abilities make him able to fill other casters' role. Like in his talent 1, he already has an ability to attack multiple targets, and slows them for a bit. Talent 2 also gives him a bit of debuff and support utility, by decreasing the target's resistance, and increasing the arts damage they take by a flat amount. For skills, Logos is another unit that is M9 worthy. Skill 1 is an awesome permanent skill that extends his range and boosts his attack. But the most interesting part is how when the enemies enter his range, and they have lower HP than some percentage of Logos' attack, they will be instantly erased from existence, additionally dealing arts damage to random targets. Skill 2 is also a great DPS and movement reduction skill. Not to mention he can easily trigger his talent 1 with this. Furthermore, he also gets a very big resistance bonus. Last but not least, his skill 3. Thanks to the range extension he can now cover more ground. He also gets a huge attack bonus that can easily shred an enemy's HP, and now he attacks multiple targets. Furthermore, he has a unique ability that no other operator can do. That is slowing down enemy projectiles that enter his range. And he will literally destroy them once the skill ends. Logos is another unit I highly recommend. I dare even say more than Walter. He has a great and unique set of abilities, and is already more than useful even at Elite 1. Oh, in case you haven't noticed, Logos module lets him deal necrosis damage. And to spice it up a little more, he's an important character in the story that many people have been waiting for since he was first mentioned. Chances are you're probably one of those people, so make sure to save for this Banshee Lord. Okay, moving to the last 6-star on this list. We have yet another fan favorite character finally becoming playable. This time, it's Ulpianus. Ulpian is our newest Crusher Guard. Known for having big attack and HP, but at the same time also very fragile since they don't have any defensive stats. But don't worry, other than DPS, his other specialty is survival. As you can see, his talent 1 will make him heal himself, with bigger amount when below 50% HP. It is a very good self-sustain ability when fighting a quick attack but low damage targets, as well as tanking DOT. Furthermore, this talent also triggers when he takes damage from a toxic working environment. As for talent 2, he can further increase his attack and max HP, and allowing him to buff other hunters by giving them half of the amount to them. Then let's talk about skills. For Ulpianus, it's either skill 2 or 3 that you should focus on. Skill 2 is the one you need to turn him into a more solid lane holder, and taking care of crowds better thanks to the block count bonus. While skill 3 is his most damaging skill, thanks to the attack bonus and multiplier. He also gets an HP bonus, which increases his already huge HP to an insane amount. This skill is also rather unique, because Ulpian will teleport to the enemy position and return to the original tile when the skill ended. Also, let's not forget Ulpian is in the Abyssal Hunter faction, and all of the hunters buff works really well with him. And if you don't have any other hunters, luckily Gladia is free to obtain from Arknights event. And no doubt her damage reduction plus regen healing is the most important buff for Crusher unit. But even if you don't have any other hunters, Ulpian is already great even on his own. He's versatile, has good survivability, has hard hitting skill, benefits a lot from Abyssal Hunter combo, and has a Bloodborne drip. Overall, another great guard that you should really consider to get, especially if you play with Abyssal Hunters combo. Alright, that's all the upcoming 6-star after Virtuosa and Viviana. So who's your priority, ladies and gents? That should be all. Adios.